$90,000 for a Toyota, does it even make sense? We'll find out in today's video. I'll include a link to the Orem Toyota's website in the description down below. Also include a link to my car buying guide. Let's get into it. Under the hood we have a hybrid twin turbo 3.4 liter V6 that goes through a 10 speed. Fuel economy is 19 around town, 22 on the highway, with power outputs being 437 horsepower and then 583 pound-feet of torque. I'm trying to hit 500,000 subscribers before the end of the year. I'd really appreciate it if you'd help out with that. Starting on the hood, we've got the iForce Max badge, and then you've got a very muscular boxy design for the rest of the hood. Now, these Sequoia headlights are pretty cool with the sequential turn signal integrated. Got a fancier finish on the grille compared to other Sequoias, and then you notice the fog lights there at the bottom. So they basically just added some premium trim to the front end of the Sequoia. Our tire wheel setup is 265 by 50 by 22. You've got the metallic gray with the silver for the coloration. Nice body painted fender flares. You've got your Capstone badge on the side too. And when you look at the side profile, you can see elements like the mirror caps and the door handles are finished in chrome to give it that more luxury car appearance. When it comes to key fob features, we've got our lock and unlock function. We've got the opening for the hatch and then the Toyota logo. We do have power adjustments to raise and lower the third row with the Sequoia. We also have a 400-watt outlet in the back. And then you have the shelf system so that you can have everything flat in the cargo area, because the solid rear axle and the battery do raise the load floor. And you probably notice you have these little handles on these seats so you can slide them forwards and backwards. With the seats folded up, there's not a massive amount of storage behind the third row, so you kind of got to pick and choose. Again, the taillight design with the sequential signals is really cool looking. And then if you actually press this button right here, it'll pop open the rear glass, so got easy access. Now that is going to cap things off for the exterior. Let's check out the interior. We've got a sunshade here for the rear passengers, and then the Capstone gives you really premium trim on the door panel. You even have a little bit of wood in the lower section. This also comes with power side steps. And then two-tone coloration with the seats perforated down the center too. Now for the second row, I've got good legroom. I've got a little storage pocket. We also have cup holders here in the center. We've got our own climate zone with heated and ventilated seats, charge ports down below. There's also ventilation throughout the top. Now a pull of that handle will give you easy access to the third row. The seats in the third row are not perforated, but they still have nice trim and still that nice two-tone design. Because of the higher load floor though, you're not going to have as much space in the third row. One downside about going to a solid rear axle and then a hybrid. Let's now check out the front. Blind spot monitoring with the mirrors. We've got that same two-tone coloration with the front door panel. The mirrors power fold in, and we've got our memory seat functionality. 1,290 pounds of payload capacity. And then we've got more of that nice perforated trim here with the front seat. It's power adjustable with lumbar support. It even has a thigh extension. No thigh extension on the passenger seat, but it does still have the power adjustments and lumbar support. Now off to the left hand side of the steering wheel, you've got controls to turn off the safety tech. This, by the way, is a very nice shortcut button for the Toyotas. You also have your heated steering wheel function, and then for the side steps, turn those on or off. Nice placement for the trailer brake controls, and let's start it up. Nice trim all around the steering wheel, perforated on either side. We've got practical controls for the adaptive cruise control and the lane departure on the right hand side. On the left hand side, you've got our volume and voice command controls for the center stack too. The new Sequoia comes with a full digital gauge cluster. You've got a little animation for the different drive modes that you can switch between. But I do like this gauge layout. It's also customizable in terms of the information that's displayed and the theme of the gauge cluster too. Nice 360 camera system, and this has kind of a quick shortcut to go through the different views. Being a loaded up Sequoia means we do have the larger infotainment system. It functions the same as the smaller one. You just have a bigger screen. We've got our tri-zone climate control, so you can control the rear climate from the front heated and ventilated seats, and then they kind of throw the volume control in that area too. Shortcut buttons for the trailer backup assistant, we've got for the camera, and then you also have your stability control. Parking brake and auto hold feature just below that, and then shifter here for the 10-speed. This does also come equipped with a wireless phone charging pad, and then we've got some nice wood trim here over the cup holders. This has a part-time four-wheel drive system with a 2-speed transfer case, and it also has a tow mode. Really nice trim on the center console, nice wood trim too, a little bit of storage there. And you've got the kind of lockbox inside, some USB ports too. And you can actually open and close this little window. Wood trim across the dash, and then you've got more of the white leather below. This also comes equipped with a camera rear view mirror, and then a panoramic center fit at the very top. 2025 Sequoia Capstone. You can see the base MSRP is $83K. After all options and destination on this one, $87,753. Let's see how this performs. So let us set off in the Capstone. See if this feels like 90 grand. And to put this number into perspective, the 200 series Land Cruiser before it got discontinued, $90,000. So this is a bigger vehicle than a 200 series and has a more modern powertrain, more power, more torque, better fuel economy. I'd say more luxury, some more money. So it seems pretty appealing, right? Oh, power adjustable steering wheel. I wasn't expecting that. I think this is one of the few. No, they've got it on quite a few Toyotas nowadays, actually, now that I think about it. I was gonna say it's maybe one of the few Toyotas that is like that, but no, they've got power adjustments on quite a few now. Great low-end torque. I wasn't sold on this hybrid when it first came out, any of Toyota's hybrids. But I've now had a chance, you know, I obviously owned that Land Cruiser for quite some time, and I've tested a bunch of Toyotas as long-term tests. I really like the hybrid now. The packaging, obviously, is not the best in the back. Hopefully they can figure out a better solution for that down the road. But packaging aside, the drive is so good. It's got tons and tons of low-end torque. The suspension is truck-like. I think this is comfortable, but it's definitely truck-like. And my wife and I own a second-gen Sequoia, and I think that my wife and I are a good example of why Toyota is kind of missing out this new Sequoia. So we looked at a new Sequoia, and we thought for $30,000 less, we can get a nice low-mileage second-gen with the V8, independent rear suspension, no hybrid, so like our seats fold down flat in the back, more space in the back, and with that independent rear suspension, it drives more comfortably than this. Now this is better with the handling, the steering's better, and just the suspension is better. Like this can go around a corner much better than the second gen. But with a big SUV like this, it's like, who cares? We just care about the comfort, and this is not as comfortable as a second gen. It's good though, just not as good. The solid rear axle bumps around in the back. And so it makes this new Sequoia kind of interesting. And again, look at this torque, just partial throttle. This thing's got diesel levels of torque. So Toyota was basically made it, this is basically a giant Land Cruiser. I think that's a better way to look at the new Sequoia rather than a successor to the Sequoia. So it's kind of like we've got so many different versions of the Land Cruiser now, because we have the Prado now in the US market, and the 4Runner is also built on the same platform, same wheelbase as the Prado. So like you kind of have like the 4Runner, which is like the super affordable Land Cruiser, and then you have the Prado, which is like these more expensive but still somewhat affordable Land Cruiser, especially compared to a 200 series. And then you got the Sequoia, which is like the giant Land Cruiser, and then you've got the LX, which is the real Land Cruiser. So the reason I'm bringing this up, I think that Toyota now has too many vehicles that do the same thing and is missing out on a part of the market, which is big, spacious, comfortable family SUV. Again, the Sequoia does a decent job at that, but it's not as good as the second gen. And all they'd have to do with this is they just drop the solid rear axle on all the packages except for the TRD Pro. I think that'd be easy enough to do. Have independent rear suspension for all of the street packages, which makes sense. People aren't going to take this off-road. And then the TRD Pro can get a solid rear axle. And what I would actually do is, and you guys can let me know if you disagree with this, what I would do is I would actually sell the TRD Pro as a 2-row. So it's like this super big trunk 2-row off-road SUV. That would be epic. And then the rest of the Sequoia is independent rear suspension, and sell them as 3 rows. And that independent rear suspension would create a little bit of space so they could have the packaging for the 3rd row a little bit better. I think that would be a very worthwhile improvement on this generation of Sequoia. But whatever I say doesn't matter, because people are still buying these. That's the thing about these Toyotas is, you know, people think I hate Toyota now because I sold my Land Cruiser. I love Toyota, right? My wife and I still own 2 of them. I make these critiques in hopes that it'll make positive change, right? Because if you never make critiques, then how is a company supposed to know how they can make their product better for you as a customer, right? So that's my 2 cents. I think that the Capstone is, it's a very nice vehicle, but if they want to do real luxury, they need to go back to independent rear suspension. That would be the biggest thing. And so as this sits right now, I personally kind of look at this as one of two ways. If you want a 3-row off-road luxury SUV, I'd rather get a 200 series Land Cruiser at a similar price point, even though it's a used vehicle, a few years old, but I'd rather get that. Or if you have more money, then get the Lexus LX. Let me know your thoughts.